stuff checked off does put you in a position to then go out and execute what you need to do on the work side, right? And so, the mindset is very, very simple, right? It's stack some wins. And if you can do that early in the morning, your likelihood of continuing that throughout your day and remaining productive is really, really, really high, as Sherry can attest to. All right, who else? Who's got wins? We got plenty of people on this call. Don't hide behind Zoom. We want to chat. Who's got some wins?
I've made it a quarter way through my goal for 2025 already.
Okay.
Okay.
We need to adjust
To
our
adjust
goals,
our
Chelsea.
goals, Chelsea.
I know, but I figured if I overshot, then it wasn't going to happen. But I wanted 10 doors
Okay.
for rentals this year. I had a goal of 5 last year. And I've already gotten 3 of those 10. And then I've put 4 properties under contract and then assigned 7. And it's the 7th.
Well, let's go,
Well, let's
Chelsea.
go, Chelsea.
So hopefully it'll keep going like that.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
I don't know. It might be hard to beat that, but who's got some other wins? Chelsea, you were grinding. Who else? Let's get one more win. I hear
I
somebody.
have one. I guess Echo stopped crying, so I can jump on here real quick. But I had 2 listings come up at the end of last year, and I was able to find buyers for both of them, actually. So we closed on those, one of them this week and then one of them next week.
So you got the listing and the buyer. Is that right, Emily?
Yes, for both of them.
Let's go. That feels good, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. That's actually my first time in 6 years having being able to find a buyer for one of my listings, believe it or not. So
And you did it twice in a month.
yes.
Well, look at you. Maybe 2025 is going to be a lot more of that, right?
Yes, and I honestly I credit that to Bold too. Like everything I was doing during Bold was is what's, building my business right now that I have for my clients and everything. So
Man, that's incredible. Speak to that a little bit more. Like, what about Bold? Was it the accountability? Was it the activities? What do you think was the difference?
yeah, so I think the like just still keeping track of my contacts each week is huge. And then I've actually been more intentional about like trying to have it at least. So it's for those of you who aren't in Bold, like your goal is to try to have 100 contacts a week. But my personal goal was to try to make 20 of those like very intentional, like real estate conversations. And then also like so that helped a lot. And then also one of them was just networking more and building relationships with people. So like I was able to find one of my clients like by going to this friendsgiving that I didn't want to go to, but I was like, I need to be more social. I need to get out and do more, meet more people, and make friends. I guess is what I'm trying to
What I'm
say.
trying to say.
And by doing that, I was able to find, I was able to secure this listing and then help them find another home. And then also that was the listing that I found the buyer for as well. So I got 3 transactions out of just going to one Friendsgiving and stepping out of my comfort zone.
That's awesome. That's exactly what real estate is. And it doesn't have to be anything wild or crazy. Sometimes real estate lead gen looks a lot like going to a Friendsgiving we don't want to go to. Uh,
Yes, especially as a stay-at-home mom. Like that was huge for me and trying to build relationships and make new friends. So
well, look, you're not a stay-at-home mom. You're out here grinding. You're working. You're
that is
working.
true. And I have childcare now set up for the 13th of this month. So that was like, in the millionaire real estate book, it's like make your first hire. My first hire is childcare. So that starts soon and I'm super excited about that. So
That's awesome. I know the girls are going to be well taken care of.
they
All
are.
right. Well, Emily, that's so great. It is really good to hear from Sherry, Chelsea, and Emily just on the wins and what that looks like. Keep stacking them, keep going. The enemy of great is good, right? And what I can promise you is it's super easy to get complacent right now. especially when really all you want to do is get under a blanket, get cozy, get a hot chocolate, and not focus on any kind of work. I know I've been tempted to do that, and I've had good accountability within the team to pull me out of that. Shout out to Lexi and Alexis and Hallie on that. So here's what I know. I'm really excited to talk about what I want to talk about today in terms of shift tactic number 7. I think that's what we've got. Oh, newcomers, please let these folks know. Welcome if you see them. These are outside of James and Tanner. These folks are new. So make sure that you're a resource to any of these new agents if they've got questions. We've got a really great office in terms of people who look out for each other. So if you have any questions, please reach out. Okay, what do we got next here? Shout out to Tristan and Eli helping us grow. They help bring in some of these agents. And here we go. So who here is familiar with The Millionaire Real Estate Agent? We all know that's a book Gary Keller, right, wrote. Um, and it's what we call the Red Book. And really, what I would tell you is, if you're a real estate agent at all, whether you're with our office or not, that book is a book you'd like to know. It's one you'd like to read. I know I've read it 3 times. Lexi's read it 6 or 7 times. I don't even know at this point how many times. But the reason why you read, the reason why you are learning based, the reason why you continue to grow is because the truth is we never know everything. And if we find ourselves always being the smartest person in the room, then we need to get in different rooms. But the other piece too is we got to read. We've got to understand certain things. And so today I wanted to talk about shift tactic number 7. And this is out of the shift book. And the reason why this is so important is because I'm just going to be very transparent. What I'm going to talk about today is a trend that is happening nationally. It's a trend happening locally, regionally. I've seen it. Tristan and I, Lexi and I, Bo and Tara and myself, we've all gone through some of these numbers. We checked our multi-year trends. Not only that, I've checked the larger Bluegrass Realtor board numbers, and I'm really looking a lot at listings. I'm looking at listings, what they were, what the price they were when they hit the market versus what listings were when they sold. I'm looking at days on market, right? And I'm looking at other comparable sales in those zip codes. What I can tell you right now is we have a listing problem. Nationally and locally, we have a listing problem. And what I mean by that is, and I'm going to use a term that I heard at a regional training last month. We have a lot of people who are putting their houses on the market that are just listers. And that to me means they're not super motivated or have all of the information they need to have to be a seller. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of people sitting with their homes on the market that don't seem to be super serious about getting their home sold in a timely manner. Is anybody feeling that right now? Anyone who has listings, are they seeing their home sitting on the market a little longer? Or are the sellers being a little more obstinate? Chelsea, you went back on mute. I don't think you meant to.
No, I didn't. But I have 2 listings that set since October, and I've had like maybe 1 showing between the 2 of them.
Yeah. And what I'm going to tell you is it's a really hard position to be in if we don't have all the right conversations up front. And what I can promise you is, and this is not me knocking anybody. And I would actually advise you to do this with the right conversations in place, with the right systems and tools in place. I know a lot of people are taking listings and they're not wanting to lose a listing over listing the home at a price point the seller doesn't want to list at. Sellers have been getting spoiled over the last few years in terms of the trend line going up double digits in terms of home values. And so a lot of sellers have this perception even now, 2 years later, about their home probably being worth an inflated number. And this isn't me sitting here saying, hey, Joseph expects that home values to drop. That's not what I'm saying. But they are not going to appreciate at the same clip that they did 2 or 3 years ago. We're just not living in that same market. A lot of us have been prisoners. And when I say a lot of us, I'm just general public, have been prisoners of what our COVID experience was. You still have people looking around at the rates, freaking out because they're not a 3 or 4% rate. Okay. And then you have different conversations. But in terms of the sellers, in terms of listing homes, we have a lot of proud homeowners, and that's okay. That's completely fine, but we have to have good conversations. And so, number one, if we are going to buck this trend, if we are going to look at what listings are taken at, which is about 20,000 above what homes are selling at. So, on average, in Central Kentucky and Bluegrass Realtors, homes are selling for $20,000 less than when the listing first hits the market. I can't tell you how many price improvements, price reductions, price adjustments that I've seen, but there's a ton of them, right? And if we're not understanding our market trends, we're going to continue to make the same mistakes. I know for sure that we took over 200 listings in September. We took over 100 in October. We took over 100 in November. As an office, we took over 100 in December. Our office is out there grinding, getting listings. We're doing a good job. Generally, we always lead the market in terms of listings. What we are seeing, not just within our office, but within our local board, is these homes are sitting on the market longer. Buyers are being more patient, right? Sellers are being a little more stubborn. They're a little slower on getting to understand what the market is telling them about their property. Chelsea's had listings on the market since October and had 1 or 2 showings in those. What does that tell us? We've got a pricing problem. And it's not because Chelsea's done a bad job, right? Sometimes it's the seller is just refusing to move off a price point. And so what we need to understand whenever we take a listing, when we're ever having conversations with our sellers, number one, understand your market trends. You got to analyze the current market conditions, including what the inventory levels are, what your average days on market, and any recent comps. And what I've seen with a lot of certain property, a lot of, I think, frustrating properties is there's been a hard time with some of them finding comparable sales. I was helping an agent try to price a home, I want to say at the end of November, and truthfully, we really didn't have a good comp, right? And it got to a point where the agent and I were having a very candid and honest conversation about, look, you're going to have to go out a little bit further in terms of time. We're going to have to push out the radius a little bit. And then we're going to have to be very transparent with your seller around, look, it was really hard to find this comp. We pushed out the radius, we went back further, but truly the market's in a different place than it was 6 months ago. The market's in a different place than it was a year ago. So with this home, this is the range we really feel like it's worth. And the market's really going to tell us. Sometimes you being forward and honest about just the uncertainty of the market plays in your favor because it allows you to have harder conversations next. Here's the other thing about what happens when you overprice a home. That does lead to extended days on the market, and that can cause buyers to view the property as less desirable. Whether we like it or not, if an agent and their buyer comes through your listing the first week it's on the market and it's 20,000 overpriced, it's actually really hard to get that agent or that buyer to view that home any differently than being overpriced even after some price drops, right? Now, you always need to keep those people in your back pocket, knowing who's gone through the home, knowing where you've gotten feedback, and communicating with your co-ops at a high level, right? So number one, understand your market trends. Understand what's currently happening in the market, not what's happened 6 months ago, but what's happening right now. And then recognizing the damage of overpricing. And that's something you can honestly say. I know that there's a team in our office right now that when they go to list a home, they provide a range. So they sit down and they give a top range, they give a middle range, and they give a bottom range, right, in terms of what the home is valued at. Then they do a seller net sheet for each one of those three prices. And so they sit down with the seller and they walk that seller through, here's what you're going to net on the low end, the middle range, and then on the high range. And the biggest thing is they want to get their client comfortable with netting on that low range because it's going to serve them later on. One of the other things that this team does that I think is brilliant is they have a very candid conversation about, hey, we're happy to list at the price point you think it's worth. Our CMA and our research has said it's worth this. We're happy with the market to tell us otherwise. And most agents, even if they come in lower than the seller, look, they want to sell it at a higher price point. I don't know an agent who wants to make less money, right? All of us want to list it at the higher price point. But if we know for sure that it's not going to sell there, that's where we have to have that hard conversation. And so one of the things I know that this team does that I think is really smart is they have their client sign an addendum that says if the listing agent and the seller don't get the contract offers or the showings that they both believe they deserve for the property, then they'll make a price adjustment after 10 days or after 14 days. And then they have something in writing that they can take back to their client and say, hey, it's been a couple weeks. We've only had one showing. We've got no offers. Can we come down on the price? Can we make an adjustment there? Right. And you don't always want to do that. But what it does is if you set the expectation up front, it really helps you a great deal. All right. Number 2, set a competitive price, right? We're going to price this property based on where the market is headed, not where it's been. Remember, we don't we get ourselves in trouble when we're a prisoner of the past. When we're looking back even 3 months ago, sometimes on a price. Sometimes that's valid information that you need. A lot of times it's valid information you need. You can look back on comps 3 months ago, 6 months ago, but if you're pricing competitively, you're taking right now and you're looking at what's the next month look like, what's the next 2 months look like, and you're pricing where the market is heading, not where it's been. If we price where the market's been, then we're not always going to put ourselves in a position to get that home sold at the best price point for that seller with the least amount of hassle. And then the second part of setting that competitive price is you've got to be proactive and set a price that attracts buyers. Even if it's slightly below what you feel like the market value is, you've got to generate interest and potentially spark some bidding. So I sat down with an agent the other day and we took a look at the price. And I said, look, I actually think this house is going to sell for $10,000 for what you've got it currently listed. And he laughed and he said, funny you should say that. We just got an offer that we accepted for 9.5 less. So he had it listed at 269 and he got it under contract at 260. Right. And so when you get to a point where you're setting a competitive price, when you're pricing a home appropriately, it gets the contracts moving. Right? Nobody feels good. You as the agent feel terrible and your buyer or your seller feels worse if you've got a home that hits the market and within the first 3, 4, 5, 7 days, there's no showings and no offers. You feel bad. You feel it makes you look bad. Your agent's probably wondering, what did we do wrong? Right? And they're questioning their decision to list with you sometimes, if we're being really honest. And so that's the importance of pricing right. How are we feeling so far in this? Is this resonating with anybody who's got a listing or have had trouble having conversations with their sellers? Let's talk. Brittany says that's very true.
Mine is underpriced.
Okay.
So I don't know what my issue is.
Hey, sometimes that's it. Sometimes that's it. Other circumstances where your buyer pool is smaller, and you just have to figure out, okay, who is the exact right buyer, and even if it's 50 people in Central Kentucky or 10 people out of state, how do we find those people, right? That becomes the question. And if you're underpriced, truthfully, sometimes homes are just sitting down on the market. You're seeing them 30, 60, 90 days on the market. And truthfully, and I don't want anybody to feel terrible about me saying this, but if your home sits for less than 90 days and it gets sold, my personal opinion as you as a listing agent did a good job, because what we've experienced over the last few years is homes hit the market and they're getting sold. Homes sit on the market for 7 days, they're sold. Homes sit on the market for less than a month and they're getting sold. That's just not what the market is doing right now. It's not what buyers are doing right now. Who can tell me one or two reasons why buyers are being more patient? What are we seeing just in the economy? We've got lower affordability. The unemployment's a little higher. Inflation has been a pain for a lot of families. Imagine being a first-time home buyer right now. If you do not, as an agent, have the right lender partner or the right vendor list, you are going to really struggle to find homes for first-time home buyers, or find loan products or programs to get your people into a home. It's a lot harder to buy a home right now. The affordability's tougher. Inflation's hitting people a lot harder. I don't know about you all, but my grocery bill tripled. Anyone else experience that? And
Yes. Ugh.
I'm fortunate, right? I am fortunate that I'm able to weather that and still be able to take care of my family and do certain things, right? Some people who are looking for homes, who want to buy a home desperately, just can't afford it right now. And so the conversation with any potential buyers in that realm is, how do we get them prepared? How do we get them in a program? How do we get them set up with the right lender partner who's going to walk them through credit repair, or get them to a place where, hey, and I like what you're saying there, Brittany, around the rate. The rates are important because it's a lot of what the consumer goes and looks at and then says, okay, I can go buy a house or not. And look, the rate is important because guess what? The rate determines that monthly payment. The monthly payment is what every buyer is looking at. I don't care if I had a 20% rate, but if my monthly payment was something that would make sense within my monthly budget, I would buy a house, right? All of the reasons why people buy and sell real estate exist wherever there are homes to be sold, right? It doesn't matter if the rate's 20%, doesn't matter if inflation's high. Somebody's buying a home because people are dying, people are getting married, people are having babies, people are downsizing, right? The reality is if we can get our client who's worried about the rate in the mindset of focusing on a monthly payment, which your lender should help you do, then you're going to be in a good spot. But that's going to help get your listing sold. Now, Emily, you're on the call. You took two listings recently and then got the buyers. Within those deals, what do you feel you did well in terms of pricing a home to make a buyer attracted to that home? Was it the price? Was it the specs and the features of the home? What were some of the circumstances? If you could just, having both sides of the deal and seeing both sides of it, what was your experience over the last month getting those two listings you took sold and finding buyers for it? Is Emily still on? I think she's on. She's probably busy. Look, here's what I'm going to tell you. Lean on your other agents. Let's look at number 3. Educate sellers. Help sellers understand the dangers of overpricing and the importance of pricing realistically. This is your biggest challenge. I don't know how many agents I talk to who get in the room with the seller, and the seller, and I'm going to use air quotes here, knows more than them, right? It's our job as agents to earn the trust, lead with market data and research, and earn the right to lead these sellers who would otherwise be stubborn. There's a lot of smart sellers out there who are leaders in their field, but they're not a leader in real estate. They don't know what you know. You're the professional. You get paid an extremely high number on the hour to help buyers and sellers get their homes and sell their homes. So helping sellers understand the dangers of overpricing. Look, that first impression, the first time a home hits the market, will color what the next 30 days look like. Even if you make a price adjustment down, listing it really high on the front end will hurt you. You will have negative impact there. And you're going to want to use data and examples to illustrate how pricing ahead of the market will lead to faster sales and potentially better outcomes. Right? So educating sellers is your friend. All right, number 4. I want to make sure I leave time for Lexi to hit you all with some great information. Here's what we've got to do. We've got to adjust quickly when needed. There's a lot of times where we put off a hard conversation with the client, with the seller, because we don't want to have the hard conversation. Or we were really quick to list it and maybe didn't ask all the questions or get all the information we needed about a property. I talked to an agent the other day who took a listing and they didn't even sit down and do a seller net sheet with their seller. So they didn't even know what the payoff was for their client. They didn't know what they needed to walk away with. So when they went back to have a conversation about a price adjustment, it was really hard for them going into that. They didn't know enough information that they needed to know to price it, number one, right the first time, and then number two, how to have the conversation when they needed to adjust the price down. So monitor the market feedback and be ready to make price adjustments early to stay competitive. You've got to lead with honesty and make those adjustments when necessary. Now, that's not to say that you don't set expectations, you do everything right, and your seller still refuses to come down. That 100% does happen, right? That's something we see a lot. Sellers are adamant that they want this price. They had a friend that sold their home last year for a higher number, and they don't want to come down off that price that they're married to in their head, right? What helps is numbers. Numbers don't lie. And as long as you can have a good relationship with your client to say, hey, here's what the market's saying. This isn't what Joseph is saying. This is what the market data is suggesting around your price point, your neighborhood, and what the local comps are. Okay, next slide. This whole concept can be simplified into setting expectations, right? And this always happens at the front end, and it maintains itself throughout your conversation and your experience with your client. No one likes surprises in real estate. They just don't. When I think about real estate, especially sellers don't want any surprises. And truthfully, buyers don't want any surprises either. We've all had a seller who we've got an inspection come back, the inspection agreement form comes back, and there's 20 things on that list that they didn't even know were a problem. And then they have a choice, right, to honor that list or part of that list or not do any of it. But what I can tell you is if you have hard conversations up front, it prepares you and sets you up for success down the road to ensure that, look, your clients are never surprised by the information you put in front of them, right? This third bullet is have the best needs analysis. Raise your hand if you feel like you do a really good job up front on the very first conversation, really nailing that needs analysis, asking a bunch of questions and letting them just talk, where you talk less and you listen more. Anybody feel like they do a good job with the needs analysis? Are we all asking good questions? This is where we can hop off mute and share. Brittany, we can get you a seller net sheet.
There's everybody just well, I've noticed since nobody's going unmuted. If you go to our website, kwcommonwealth.com, the buy sell thing, there's a buyer and seller guide, a NAR buyer seller guide. The password for it is just our market center number 958. On the listing side of that, there's a seller net sheet on that page, Brittany.
We got a lot of stuff in Drive too. So if you see that and it's not what you like, just reach out and I'll get you something. Look, here's the thing about needs analysis. If we don't know the seller or your buyer's motivations, timeline, what's going on in their personal life. If we don't know all the things about them that we need to, and there are going to be things that might not even be on your radar. Do they have a parent who has ill health, right? That they're also taking care of. That will come into play with showings or their availability or certain things that also might put a timeline or affect the net that they need to be able to afford putting a parent into assisted living or something. You have to have the best bulletproof needs analysis when you sit down and talk to your seller before you go to list a home, because it's going to color your conversation moving forward. How many kids do they have? What ages? Right? What do they need to let net on the low end, mid range, and high range? You've got to know everything. Are they moving for work? Can they sit on it? Are they in a rush? Is there no timeline? Right? Is it just about a number that they're looking for? I know some sellers just put homes on the market to test it. Say, I don't need to sell, but I'll put it on here, and if I can get this number, well, then I'll sell it. Right? There's a lot of folks who do that. I know I've hit the seller net sheet quite a bit. They're your friend. Here's the other piece: your vendor list, your business partners in real estate are a major tool for you. Your lenders, your co-ops, your staging partners, they are your value proposition, specifically on the sell side. The people who do your videos and your pictures and drone videography, right? They're your friend. Use all those things and leverage. Market the home. Here's what I'm going to tell some agents that need to hear it. Spend a little money on your listings, especially anyone's above 400,000. Spend some money on your listings because you're going to get that return and you're going to get that home sold, right? All right, let's share some takeaways. I want two takeaways, two ahas, and then we'll move on. We'll give Lexi her time and space. Two takeaways.
I'll take one. I think having the clear expectations is everything. I mean, it's everything when it comes to your relationships with friends, people, coworkers, your kids. I don't think that's any different from the expectations that you have with clients, no matter what direction. I know, for me being relatively newer, coming in, it's really hard to have maybe tough conversations up front. Fierce Conversations, one of my favorite books. For for fear of maybe losing something. But I think it's just as important to have real conversations at the very beginning, to set expectations of here's what to expect. I love the range thing. That's great. But yeah, I think just overall setting expectations for everything and setting yourself up.
Yeah. No, Stephen, that's good. And the reality there is you're working with people, right? At the end of the day, here's what I want to be true about our agents. Number one, you're in real estate to make money. You're not going to survive in this market if number one, you're not wanting to make money through real estate. That needs to be number one. And that shouldn't make you feel bad. This is your livelihood. Everyone else has a job and they don't feel bad about their jobs, right? Your job as a real estate agent for you and your family is to make money, and hopefully a lot of money. Not because I want to benefit, but because you all have people in your world that are counting on you. Now, the second biggest reason that I know is true for 99% of our agents is they want to help people. They genuinely care about people and they want to help them. And so real estate is a fantastic vehicle to make good money and to help people with the largest financial acquisition they're likely ever to make, right? And so I, I really think Chelsea, you're hitting on some good points. I think that's right. Um, I really think that needs analysis and your clients understanding that they're a human to you and not a transaction or not a number is your biggest advantage, because that is going to allow you to have hard conversations. And you know, Brittany, you said something good there. Get the big picture, go 3 levels deep. I think that's a big deal. Chelsea says something about agents having a radius instead of taking listings 2 hour away just to get it, because you can't give those listings as much attention as you need to. That's a very real thing in our market. And here's what I'm going to tell you: 2023 and 2024 were years where agents were driving further than they probably ever have to grab listings because there was there was a bottleneck. 90% of all business that was done by the top percent of agents locally. And what I know to be true is I know agents in our office who did drive a little further. Sometimes you have to do that. But Chelsea, I do think you're right. There are some times where you take on something and you can't devote what you actually need to devote to that particular listing or that client to be able to really serve them at a high level or get that property marketed in such a way. And here's the other thing. Here's what I know. I live in Winchester. I go to church in Winchester. My kids go to school in Winchester. I know Winchester really well, right? I know a couple of other communities really well because I'm involved in those areas. But really, outside of a 30-minute radius, I don't know a lot of the dynamics. And real estate is hyper local. So if you have something further out, have a good partner, have a good agent partner in your world in that area who can help. Whether they co-list it with you, whether they're the local expert for you, or they're helping you show it. Make sure that you're doing a good job when you've got a listing further out to really market it, right? And those are always good things to think about. Good points, Chelsea. Please read the chat. There's a lot of good stuff in there. But look, here's what I know. We're going to have a great year this year. NAR is projecting a 10% increase in sales, just resale. And NAR is also projecting an 11% increase in new construction home sales. So here's my advice to you. Get out, get active, get busy. Know the market dynamics, have the hard conversations. And then this other piece, because NAR is projecting 11% increase, know new construction or find an agent who knows new construction. And it also never hurts, if you've got them in your pocket or in your sphere, find an investor. Find somebody looking to buy, okay, who's going to buy more than one property with you and take care of them. All right, Lexi, you're up.
All right, so we're gonna talk follow up and smart plans specifically. It's gonna be a lot of smart plans, but I kind of wanted to start by building off of what Joseph's been talking about and ways that we can leverage command to help you in this process of shift tactic number 7. So the top one is monthly and biweekly neighborhood nurtures. Part of shift tactic number 7 is knowing what the market is. And it helps if your clients know what the market is as well when you come in for that first conversation. If they know what's happening around them and what the prices of houses around them are going for and selling, what reductions are happening and those type of things, you have a better opportunity to get them in the price pocket that you need them to be in for that listing to sell. Neighborhood nurtures are super simple. All you have to do in command is put their mailing address into their contact card. So you'll open up Joseph Miller, hit the little pencil, add their address into their additional contact piece, and then start a smart plan of neighborhood nurture. Like I said, there's a biweekly and a monthly. There's no really right or wrong to this. If you feel like somebody's like right on the cusp and they're a little bit closer to listing with you, I would suggest a biweekly. Gives them that information every 2 weeks. If they're, they'll list with me when they're ready, but they're not in any big hurry, monthly neighborhood nurtures are great. The other thing that you can do to kind of be that expert, and again, this is market knowledge as well, is you can do save searches. Maybe we do something a little bit like broader, like we open the area outside of their neighborhood. So we give them a radius around them that's just matches their house, 3 beds, 2 baths, right? And then they can get notifications when those are going up on the market and what their prices are, and then anytime it's reduced or anything like that. So again, just giving them ways for them to kind of become those market experts. And then by you giving them that information, you're kind of also becoming that market expert for them. And then we have strategic relationship building plans that showcase your expertise as a realtor, as the person who knows the people, as the person who anything homeowner related, you are the expert for. A really great way to do this through Command, again, we're leveraging Command, would be that 48 touch smart plan that we talked about at our last team meeting. This one is not just about kind of creating that expert level with them, but also building that relationship. So we're texting them every month. We've got the neighborhood nurtures in there. We've got emails going out about DIY tips, homeowner maintenance, those type of things. So you're really creating that I am a realtor and I am your realtor of choice in all of those smart plans. So highly suggest all of these. These are specifically my suggestions for kind of augmenting that shift tactic number 7 on the before, the during, the after, that type of stuff. A smart plan that I wanted to talk to you guys about today specifically. I know this is probably could have picked a better title for this, but leveraging current events. Everybody knows we are in a snowstorm. Hopefully everybody knows there's more coming and you yourselves are preparing for the storms that are supposed to be hitting on Friday and into next week as well. I have created for you guys a smart plan for you guys to let loose in your database. You're just going to go to Smart Plans Library and you're just going to search 2025 snowstorm. It's going to pop up. You're going to search 2025 snowstorm. It's going to look like this: 2025 snowstorm published by me. You're going to download it and add it to your library, and then you are going to start your database on it. It is an email and a text. So you can see the text here. If you don't want to start the smart plan, this is still a great text that you can copy into your phone and send out to your database or a handful of people. I obviously suggest just letting it loose in your database. The purpose of this text is to be personal, not realtor. Hey, I am checking on you. How are you doing? Anything you need help with? And then the email again is kind of starting with that, hey, I'm just checking in with you, but then following up with some homeowner tips to get them ready for the next set of storms that are about to come through. And then kind of, again, I'm wrapping this back into what Joseph said, where this email is bringing them back into your vendors. So, hey guys, I know some plumbers, HVAC, and contractors that could get you ready for the winter. One, gives you a great opportunity to go out and find these vendors, build your vendor list if you haven't already, and 2, share them with the people in your database. The important part about this, and I hope everybody understands this above anything else, the important part about this is to check in on your people, not to get business from your people. So this is a really great opportunity to build the relationships within your database with everything that's going on. It's going to be automated. It'll just go out. Please continue to check your notifications and respond. The last thing you want is somebody to say, oh my gosh, Trisha, thank you so much for reaching out. I could really use a space heater if you know anybody that's got one. And if you never respond, you kind of lost that relationship. So really, really, really make sure you are going in here and keeping your notifications clear. Maybe if you have a ton sitting up there, if you're one of those people that has like 1,000 notifications in your bubble, maybe clear that before the smart plan comes out so that you know when people are responding to the smart plan. Okay. So this is in that library. It's ready for you guys to send out. If you guys need help setting up Twilio or anything along those lines to get these smart plans out, I'm more than happy to help. I would love to help. Okay. And the last thing I wanted to remind you guys of is the 2025 holiday smart plans. Again, we talked about this in the last meeting. I'm bringing this up because this first touch needs to be scheduled to start on January 20th. It is January 7th. Martin Luther King Jr. Day is right around the corner. No, it doesn't feel like it, but it is. So this first set of this holiday smart plan needs to be scheduled to start on the 20th, which is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So if you have not already taken advantage of these holiday smart plans, please do so. You guys, these are so easy. They are just emails and they are nothing but celebration of the holidays. It's a great way to get into your clients' inboxes with just a holiday thing. There's nothing in there but just, hey, happy whatever holiday we're on. It's such a great way. This total across these 3 smart plans is 30 holidays. So please utilize these if you need help getting them started. If you don't understand what I mean by schedule to start, please call me and I will walk you through this over the phone on how to get these started on the right days and times. That's pretty much all I have, Joseph. We've got a couple announcements. Do you want to do them or do you want me to take them?
Yeah, just take the announcements and then we'll wrap up to give everybody their time back.
Okay. So you guys can see what we've got going on the rest of today. We have writing contracts that win with Jesse Kerr, top producer mastermind with Sheridan Sims. Ignite starts tomorrow. We will be back in the office tomorrow. Ignite will be on YouTube Live and in the office. Please, if you have not attended Ignite, if you are not at 14 transactions in a year, you need to be in the office for Ignite. Value Squared, how to articulate your value to your clients with Joseph on Thursday at 10 a.m. Quote, rookie mastermind. So if you are not a capper, we would love to have you for a rookie mastermind to mastermind how to become a capper. Okay. And then we have Quantum Leap Next Gen on Saturday. So there will be a group of us going up to Cincinnati to either participate in that presenter preview or to participate in Next Gen Quantum Leap. So if you are under the age of 30 and would like to participate in Quantum Leap, we would love to have you in Cincinnati on Saturday. Let us know. There is a group of us going up. Hallie has a friend that is the activities director at Preston Green Senior Living over by Costco, and they have asked us to participate in some Valentines for the seniors. So you, your kids, whoever wants to participate in this, bring Valentines to the office by February 10th for Hallie to take over to Preston Green. I'm really excited about this. Gary Keller is going to be at Family Reunion going through the 10 Bold Truths. If you heard Jason Abrams go through them during Bold, it was really good. I can't imagine what Gary Keller is going to be like since he's the one who created the 10 Bold Truths. So if you are not already registered for Family Reunion, please do so. The ticket prices increase on the 17th, so we've got 10 more days to get into Family Reunion. There is a group going, so please pop in to a chat with me, Joseph, and we will kind of connect you to anybody else who is going to Family Reunion, get you in with some itineraries and those type of things. If you need help with anything Family Reunion related, please let us know. I'm going to leave this one up, actually, Joseph. I'm just going to kind of end with this one, if you don't mind. Keller Williams has kind of created 31 real estate social media graphics for you to kickstart your 2025. So if you guys want to scan this QR code and utilize any of these resources, I'm going to just leave this up on the screen while we kind of round you out. So thanks for joining us for our first team meeting of 2025. We're glad you're here.
Yeah, thanks for being on the call. If you all need anything, please reach out. Office will be open tomorrow. We'll be in the office, so please be safe on the roads. We're not in the clear in regards to the weather or, anything like that. I know that the first plow truck hit my street last night about 5. So just please be safe. I know you guys are busy out traveling, so I appreciate you all. And yes, shout out to Lexi for building out some great things for you all to just plug and play. Hitting your database right now. Here's what I'm going to say. If you've got a good 30, 60, and 90-day pipeline, you're going to have a good 30, 60, 90-day payday, right? So keep at it, keep grinding, do the work, check on your people. All right? Love you all. We'll see you.